25th April, 11:56 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. An earthquake strikes Nepal. Lasting just 55 seconds, this became the worst natural disaster to strike Nepal since the 1934 Nepal-Bihar earthquake. In just those 55 seconds, homes shook and historic temples crumbled. Roads were damaged and communications took a hit. The earthquake also triggered another huge avalanche in the Langtang Valley, where 250 people were reported missing. This 7.8 magnitude earthquake killed nearly 9,000 people and injured nearly 22,000. It left hundreds of thousands of people homeless, with entire villages flattened across many districts of the country. Centuries-old buildings were destroyed at the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Kathmandu Valley, including some at the Kathmandu Darbar Square, the Patan Darbar Square, the Bhaktapur Darbar Square and the Narayan Temple. Another major aftershock occurred on the 12th of May 2015 with a moment magnitude of 7.3. More than 200 people were killed and over 2,500 injured in that aftershock. Destruction, devastation, death, despair was everywhere. And now, according to the geologists and scientists from all over the world, there is a high magnitude earthquake along the Himalayan belt that is coming, and the entire North India and Delhi NCR region are in the danger zone. Not just the scientists, even the Government of India, the Ministry of Home Affairs, has warned that earthquakes with higher intensity than the one that struck Nepal are likely to rock the region in the future. Earthquake with a magnitude of 8.0 or more on the Richter scale.
India is divided into 4 seismic zones. It starts with zone 2, 3, 4 and 5. Predominantly, your North India will primarily come in zone 4. There will be pockets of zone 5. So zone 5 are where the hazard is much greater than zone 4. North India lies all along the Himalayan range. You start from J&K and you go all the way along to the eastern part of the country. It's the Himalayan range. So the entire area is definitely susceptible to high magnitude earthquakes.
While there is no way to predict when this earthquake will happen, it will happen for sure. The Himalayas are being made due to fast-moving tectonic plate on the planet Earth. 400 million years ago, Himalayas did not exist. There was once water where these great mountains now stand. 250 million years ago, all the continents were joined and were part of a supercontinent called Gondwana land. 80 million years ago, India broke away from the supercontinent. It traveled north and smashed into Asia, and then this intercontinental smash began to shape the world's highest mountains. 50.5 million years ago, India collided with Asia. The land and the ocean floor that lay between folded up under the enormous pressure and speed, and tectonic forces created the tallest mountains in the world. This movement, monitored by the geologists, show India is still moving 2 inches every year and pushing underneath Asia. This movement of pushing underneath has another fallout: earthquake. The region has seen many earthquakes in the past 100 years, and many top scientists feel another major one is on its way. And when that earthquake happens, not if, when, there will be few seconds of terror. There will be strong shaking, buildings and structures collapsing, complete devastation. And over 50 million people around the arc of Himalayas will be affected.
Now, as you can read from the headlines itself, The experts from Ministry of Home Affairs announced this to the media, and then the media went ahead and published it. And the fine print of this article states that earthquake of magnitude 8.2 can strike North India. There has also been a study by a very renowned scientist, Mr. Bilham, Professor Bilham, who of University of Colorado. Now he has predicted that the time is ripe for. He has predicted actually 4 earthquakes of magnitude 8 and above, because that is what he says will release the strains which have already built in.
In 2014, the National Disaster Management Authority announced that there are credible reports that a magnitude of 8 or higher earthquake can strike North India. Seismologists the world over have predicted that the monster quake is not far in time, and that not 1 or 2 but 4 great earthquakes will hit North India, each a magnitude of 8 or more. Disaster management experts from the Ministry of Home Affairs have echoed the same sentiments in January of 2016.
Actually, NDMA, that is the previous vice chairman of NDMA, he actually released a figure to the media where, as per the NDMA studies, the casualty figure if a earthquake of magnitude 8 was to hit North India was between 8 to 9 lakhs. So that was the fatalities.
Now imagine if the same were to hit Delhi. It is estimated that the earthquake will flatten almost 60% of the capital, killing half of the city's 60 million population. There has been a rapid growth in the last 10 years in all of Indian cities. Construction of multi-storied buildings, malls, large office complexes, and infrastructure projects as part of the progress and development. This, the world's highest urban density population region, coupled with a lack of building codes, has led people to cluster in non-engineered homes without concern to earthquake safety. 45 to 60 seconds, that is all it'll take for the buildings to flatten and kill and trap people in them. There is a saying, earthquakes do not kill people, buildings do. So then, the most important question is, if the big earthquake is predicted, then how safe are we? And how safe are our offices and houses?
Not many know in our country that even earthquake-resistant buildings are divided into 4 categories. So there is a national guideline issued by the NDMA, which is freely available on their website. So anybody can go and download that guidelines. In those guidelines, even earthquake-resistant buildings are classified into 4 categories. So category A is operational, called operational, and very important structures like hospitals, fire stations, like important government offices which need to be operational immediately after a earthquake, where decisions are taken. Those kind of buildings need to be of that category. Second is immediate occupancy. Immediate occupancy buildings are those buildings which can sustain cosmetic architectural damage but no structural damage whatsoever. That means the building should be usable and structurally safe immediately after an earthquake. Life safety buildings are buildings that will get vacated, they'll get repaired in their own time, evaluated, then repaired, and then people can move in back. And the last category, which is collapse prevention, is the category where the building will sustain extensive damage, and even the repairs will not be possible because they will not be economical. It will sustain so much damage. So these buildings predominantly will need to be discarded and rebuilt. There will be buildings which do not even meet the minimum category D. So those are the buildings that are highly, highly unsafe because they can have a potentially pancake collapse, and that will cause many, many casualties.
So there are 4 categories, 4 ways of making a building that can save you. So which category building do our builders build for us?
See, they are following the minimum code. So how the Indian seismic code is designed is that we achieve the minimum, if we follow that code, we achieve a minimum safety level. Minimum safety level is category D, which is collapse prevention.
Which means you might escape, but you would lose your house and everything in it. So, your house and your office is being built in the absolute basic earthquake resistance category. So what is it that needs to be done?
Now I'll answer your question by giving you the analogy of what happened in air conditioners and what happened in vehicles in India. You know, there's some intelligent IAS bureaucrat who said that after 24 hours, you know, this notification is going to take effect, and every air conditioner which is going to be sold in India is going to have a star rating ticket over it, right? Now, if you recollect, when this happened about 3 years back, and this ruling came and you went to the market, everybody was either producing a non-rated AC or a single star, and the maximum AC that was available in the market that time was a 2-star AC belonging to Hitachi. Now, if you go to the market, you can't buy a 2-star AC because of the single, you know, overnight that awareness came in that, hey guys, you know, 5-star is better than 4 and 4 is better than 3, and you know, there's going to be a marginal cost increase, and you decide what you want to buy. And now when you walk into any shop to buy an air conditioner, you will only get 3, 4 and 5. So, and a person is willing to pay that small incremental cost because he knows the value of that. So, the government has benefited because there is less power consumption. The manufacturers of air conditioners have benefited because they have introduced better technology and are, you know, producing better ACs. The consumer has benefited because he's getting a better product which actually saving energy. Now, similar is the case with Bharat stage 4, stage 5. You know, we went from stage 3 to now we are stage 4, and we have ambitions of going to stage 5. So that is the fuel efficiency which is coming in automobiles. Now, similar thing needs to happen for buildings, right? Why should we only stay to category D? Why shouldn't a person have an option that, okay, you as a minimum you have to make category D because we cannot allow lives being lost, but the people who are making buildings should have the option to make category C or make category B, which is the immediate occupancy, or a hospital person who is putting up a hospital should have an option of making an operational hospital.
The Bureau of Indian Standards, the national standards body of India, working under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, thinks otherwise.
As a corollary, do you think that some hospital give you that you have been treated as a star 1 category and so-and-so has been treated as 5-star category? Every healthcare has to be of 5-star also, exactly. Topmost healthcare, which the body actually requires. This is the same system. The building has to be either safe or unsafe, you know. And when the building has been designed by the professionals and approved by the authority, it means the building is safe in accordance with the laid down codes. How safe it should be, the code prescribed how much, what is the benchmark of safety, and therefore in my opinion it has to be safe, and that benchmark of safety can be reviewed from time to time.
California, Japan and other earthquake-prone countries have made great progress in the way they make their buildings, so much so that it can stand up to magnitude of 7 earthquake. But in India, also an earthquake disaster-prone area, even the awareness or the building code is yet to be enforced.
There is no tool. So there is no building code which I can pick up today from and which states that these are the 4 categories of buildings and this is how you should design a hospital building. So it has a very serious implication. The implication is that means the hospitals today have followed the minimum code to construct, to design and construct, which means if a high magnitude earthquake strikes, none of your hospitals are going to be functional. Japan, the California area, Taiwan, Turkey, these are most seismic resilient societies, and it is because it is not a magic wand that has gone over those countries and those kind of societies have emerged. It's a collective effort of the government, of the people, of various institutes within a country who have worked to increase the awareness and to instill into people that doing that extra bit to save you from that 45 seconds, which can really cause so much of devastation, which is unimaginable.
So, there is an urgent need to raise awareness and then to enforce the building. And herein lies the catch.
Now, you see why the subject of earthquake safety is being neglected, or not being, I'll not use the word neglected, not being addressed with that surgical control is for two reasons. Firstly, there are three different ministries who are looking at it. Now, Ministry of Urban Development, responsible for various municipal corporations. Now, actually, the maps are passed by the municipal corporations, and they give the permits to build, start building, occupation certificate, and so on. So that comes under Ministry of Urban Development. There is Ministry of Home, right? Now, disaster management comes under Ministry of Home. NDMA reports to Ministry of Home. There is further the design of buildings comes under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, because the codes which are responsible for design of buildings, that are issued by Bureau of Indian Standards, which is under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. There is no coordination between these three ministries. And who is losing? It's the public who is losing. And if this coordination does not start happening and we don't take the remedial actions for the government's prediction of what's going to come, or what we are going to see in the foreseeable future, it's going to be very bad. I have been fighting the cause of getting earthquake safety in the country for the last 12 years. I have also gone the legal route. So the first time I did a PIL, and I argued it myself, that was number 376 in 2014. And the Supreme Court order stated that we have no doubts that the petitioner's praise would be looked into by the government. And we asked for only three things in that PIL. The first thing was, please make the public aware that earthquake resistant buildings are of 4 types. So everybody will understand, okay, it's not one, it's 4 types. So whenever they are buying a building or renting a building, they will ask what is the category of the building. The second thing we asked is that whenever there's a reality advertisement, along with the advertisement, it should also mention what is the building category. And the third thing we asked is that all high-risk buildings, now by high risk means buildings that have a high occupancy or are beyond 5 stories high, which can, if because of their collapse, it can cause multiple deaths. So we said only in these special buildings have a board mentioning its category. Now, from December 2014 till now, nothing happened. So I went back to Supreme Court with our petition, and but the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, basically they said that just by government reports in newspapers is not enough for them to act on it. So they need the proper report or something. So primarily, I am not privy to those kind of reports. So what I am privy to is the government reports that come out in public domain.
But even after the Supreme Court order, and even after issuing the warning of the great big earthquake coming, the Government of India came out with the new building code in 2017. But the code is without the different earthquake-safe building categories.
Now you are right that yes, a new seismic code, that is 1893, Part 1, it has been released in March of this year. And when the draft version came out, I was very happy because it contained the Annexure G, which was aligned to the national safety guidelines issued for buildings by NDMA. So it contained the Annexure G, which classified buildings into 4 categories. But when the final version came out in March this year, that Annexure G was absent. So it's yes, there have been some vested interests who have been able to get Annexure G deleted.
The code which has been recently revised, whether it is the earthquake codes for buildings or the National Building Code, which also incorporates those earthquake provisions, are amply suitable for all kinds of building, whether it is a conventional building, whether it is a masonry building, it is concrete framed building with conventional slab, or if it is a pre-stressed concrete slabs. So for all eventualities, different factors have been given, and therefore buildings can be designed to be safe for the maximum earthquakes that is expected to be there. Now what happens when this code comes out, the local building bylaws are required to be revised and updated to utilize the various improvements that have been incorporated in the building National Building Code. And if these are properly implemented, it will ensure a completely structurally safe scenario, and we will be able to counter any kind of earthquakes, be it of intensity 8 or even more.
So it is ironical that despite all this prediction and information, when the earthquake comes and your house is destroyed, your builder will not be held accountable because he has not broken the law. Yet, you've lost your house and your money.
See, as far as builders are concerned, they're not doing anything wrong. So the building code says that they have to follow the minimum standard, which is a category D, right? Collapse prevention. And they are following that. Till the time the customer does not ask for something as category C or B or A, why should they, and there's no awareness, so nobody is even asking this question. So, for example, if tomorrow there's an earthquake and all the buildings that you see, they are severely damaged to the extent that they cannot be repaired, or they will have to be pulled down and rebuilt. That is also an earthquake resistant building, because that is the definition of a collapse prevention building, that is category D building, that the building will not have a pancake collapse, but it can get severely damaged to the extent that you will have to demolish it and rebuild it.
Now, till the builders, the government and the law gets on the same plane, how does a person know if his building is safe?
So in 2014, the NDMA actually released a report in public. It came out in Economic Times that building, high-rise building on stilts. Stilts are where you have parking on the ground floor and then you have buildings above. So building on stilts are extremely dangerous, as they can have a pancake collapse. So building on stilts can be considered dangerous. Then there's a category of building which is flat slab. Flat slab is a gravity system. That means vertical loads can be taken by it, not lateral shaking or horizontal loads like earthquakes. So flat slab building, and predominantly flat slab building, will be office buildings. So these are also high occupancy buildings. So these buildings will need immediate attention, because if one of these buildings collapse, you can actually look at 10,000, 20,000 people dying in one building, because these are very high occupancy buildings. So then you have a category of buildings which are just made out of brick. You see, you go to Lakshmi Nagar or you go to other areas, you go to the colonies along the Yamuna belt. They don't use any kind of reinforcement or any kind of concrete and reinforced concrete bands. They just have bricks and they build their houses, and then they keep building one above the other till the time something happens. And then there are thousands of these. Now these unreinforced masonry, as you call them in technical terms, these are also very dangerous, because these too can have a pancake collapse.
What then should a citizen of this country do to make his house and buildings safe? Can the buildings be made safe?
First thing is to get an assessment done. So the person who will do an assessment for them is a structural engineer. So they can just do a Google search, which is a structural engineer near their colony, near their society, because there are plenty of structural engineers who are operating in all pockets of Delhi. So they can consult him, and the structural engineer will pay them a visit. He will see if they have the old drawings, he will check those, and he will kind of give them a fair idea of what the building type is and what they can expect. He may also advise on a detailed structural assessment, and he may do that for a small fee. After that, they will come to know whether the building will require a retrofit or not. So a retrofit will basically mean that there's a likelihood that the building can collapse in an earthquake, and they need to go in for a retrofit to so that the building does not collapse. The another type of retrofit is that a building may be category D. That means that the building will get extensively damaged, may have to be pulled down after the earthquake, but it will not collapse. That means it is earthquake resistant, but it is earthquake resistant category D. So people sometimes may say, okay, I need to do a retrofit where I upgrade myself from category D to category C, or from category D to category B. Even those things are possible. But the first thing is, people need to do a Google search, get hold of a structural engineer, and get assessment done.
In the past few years, people rushing out of office and residential buildings in Delhi NCR region has been a common sight in the year 2015 and 16 as the frequency of earthquakes have increased. Living in these times, the pertinent question to ask is, can India afford to play ostrich to the potent threat it faces by burying its head in sand?
एक दिन में कोई इंग्लिश नहीं सीख सकता।